Today on the LA Food Podcast, I'm your host Lucas Servodio, absolutely buzzing after winning my round of 16 Champions League betting pool with Father Saul. A big thanks to Lautaro Martinez of Inter Milan for sending his penalty into outer space. Speaking of healthy competition, Top Chef is back, dear listener. Season 21 kicks off next week, March 20th in Wisconsin, and there are plenty of changes afoot. Longer episodes, no immunity, and Kristen Kish joins the melee as the show's new host. We're going to talk about that today, but more importantly, I have 3 friends joining me today for our epic annual Fantasy Top Chef Draft. If you tuned in last year, then you're aware that Father Saul wiped the floor with my sorry ass. But this year, things are going to be way more interesting. We're expanding the competition, and joining us for Fantasy Top Chef 2024 are none other than Jessie Evans, also known as Jessie Eats, and Daniel Wargo, also known as Forking Around. Will one of them have what it takes to take down the champ, or will I rise from the ashes to do so myself? It's going to be a great season, and it all starts today. But first, a few things that caught my eye, including 9 new LA restaurants added to the Michelin Guide, a new Roy Choi venture, and the return of the not-so-sweet Lady Jane. That's all coming up next, so without further ado, let's chow down. The LA Food Podcast is brought to you by House of Macadamias. Dear listener, do you have a favorite nut? Here's why I've happily given that title over to the macadamia. First, it's chock full of nutritional benefits, including one of the best omega 6-3 ratios in the nut game, 8 times better than pistachios and 20 times better than cashews. Cashew? More like cash-ew. Second, it's super versatile. You can have them as a snack. You can find tons of applications to include them in your cooking. You can even use the oil for cooking, in addition to using it for skin and health purposes. If you want to get in on the macadamia game, head to the LA Food Pod page on houseofmacadamias.com to access my curated list of macadamia products. We've got extra virgin cold-pressed macadamia oil, savory macadamia snack packs, and salted or unsalted macadamia nut butter. All great for snacking, all great for cooking. The best part is, when you buy an LA Food Pod bundle on houseofmacadamias.com, you'll instantly get a free multi-pack of macadamia snack bars featuring flavors like chocolate, white chocolate, and coconut white chocolate. And if you subscribe to our bundle, you get a 15% discount on all of it. And don't worry, you can pause, cancel, or adjust the subscription at any time. So what are you waiting for? Head to www.houseofmacadamias.com/pages/LA-foods and go nuts. Dear listener, I am so excited today because we have one of my favorite episodes of the entire year. It's an annual tradition on the podcast. Top Chef is upon us, and therefore we are having our Fantasy Top Chef Draft. We're doing it bigger and better than ever before this year. Let me tell you, it's going to be a doozy, and I cannot wait. But first, I wanted to tell you about a couple things that caught my eye this week. First of all, you may have seen the news that 9 restaurants, Los Angeles restaurants, were added to the Michelin Guide this week. In total, 10 new restaurants were added to the California Guide. 9 were from LA, and only 1 was from San Francisco. So suck it, San Francisco. You've had the dominance over Los Angeles, culinarily speaking, for a while now, but it looks like Los Angeles is finally starting to hold its own. The list of the restaurants that were adding to the California Guide from Los Angeles is kind of interesting. It consists of some that you might expect, sort of like some hot new kids on the block, like Funky, Evan Funky's namesake restaurant in Beverly Hills. There's Sushi Sanagi, which got a lot of love last year as well. There's Little Fish, which opened in Echo Park, also sort of like a hot new restaurant doing elevated mech fish sandwiches, you might call them. Quarter Sheets, which has been getting widespread love from all over the country, the sort of like Detroit-style pizza spot in Echo Park. And at first, when you look at the list, you're like, okay, well, I kind of get this. This is a list of like the best hot new restaurants in Los Angeles. But then you see that Pollo a la Brasa is on the list as well. And you start to think, what? Because Pollo La Brasa is a legendary Los Angeles restaurant. It's been around for, I want to say, decades. Like Jonathan Gold used to wax poetic about it. It's a Peruvian rotisserie chicken joint over in Koreatown that used to be in like a true hole-in-the-wall location and now has moved over pretty much next door, but to a new construction, slightly new, sleeker location. Still the same old good smoky rotisserie chicken, but when you put that alongside restaurants like Little Fish and Sushi Sonagi and Funky, you really start to wonder, what the hell is the criteria for the Michelin Guide? I would kill to see a rubric that these people go out there and try to select new restaurants for the guide. That said, whenever I start to feel a certain way about the Michelin Guide, I try to remind myself one key thing. This list, it's not for us. It's not for us as Angelino foodies who are deeply steeped in the culture of Los Angeles food and who are in the know of what's going on. This is a list for travelers. The Michelin Guide, famously, that's how it started, right? People who would be going on road trips and wanted to check out restaurants, mostly in Europe, they used the Michelin Guide. In a weird sort of like detached and removed way, it's still that. I think that the Michelin Guide is still for like foreigners and people from outside of Los Angeles who maybe don't have that much time to research Los Angeles restaurants by digging into all our great local media, from the Los Angeles Times to the Infatuation. And they want a quick snapshot of, hey, what's really good out there? And Michelin offers that. It's not going to be necessarily the most up-to-date or the most sort of like accurate info that truly reflects the zeitgeist of Los Angeles at a particular moment, but you can pretty much know that if you've made it to the Michelin Guide, you need to sort of have like a baseline level of fame and or accomplishment to have made it on there, right? So you can rest assured that you're getting something good. Truthfully, I think the only time I would look at a Michelin Guide is if I'm going to a new city, like if I'm going to a Bogota or if I'm going to a Busan in South Korea, right? I would be probably looking at a Michelin Guide. So first of all, you got to remember this list is not for you. Secondly, I also remind myself this list means a hell of a lot to restaurants. Like I remember when I spoke to Gilberto Cetina, the chef at Holbox, and also Danny from Heritage Barbecue. In both those conversations, both of those chefs really emphasized what a cool and sort of like coming of age moment it was for them and their restaurants to be included on the Michelin Guide. And so, you can't underestimate what it means for these restaurants to be included on that list, not only from like a business perspective of what it can do to elevate your business, but also I think just like from a meaning perspective, it's probably one of the most meaningful awards, right? Like the Michelin, everybody wants to be associated with Michelin when you're like, setting out on a restaurant venture. So I'm not going to poo-poo it. I just want to say congratulations to all of the 9 restaurants. And most importantly, guys, we're killing San Francisco out here, okay? And that's what we really want as a Los Angeles-centric podcast. Speaking of Los Angeles, it doesn't get more Los Angeles than Roy Choi. And guess what, guys? Roy Choi just announced a new venture over in his kingdom on Overland over there in like Palms area. He's opening a new taco venture called Tacos Por Vida. As far as I can tell, this is a like straight up taco operation, no Korean fusion or Korean inflection whatsoever. He's got al pastor on the menu, he's got asada, and really the vibe it seems he's trying to cultivate is like a backyard barbecue vibe. He's going with charcoal grill, wood fire, and you know what? I say, why the hell not? I think one of the things we've always loved about Roy Choi is how down-to-earth and approachable he's always been. And this is probably the most down-to-earth and approachable concept he could come up with. And I'm super into it. I can't wait to check it out. I can't really tell yet if this is like here to stay or if it's like something that is very ethereal and of the moment. So, let's keep an eye on it. But my recommendation would be get over there as soon as possible, because One thing we know about Roy Choi is his ventures come along. They don't always stick around for a long time, so you gotta like enjoy them while you can. And this is his first new venture in 8 years, guys. 8 years. I remember 8 years ago, it felt like Roy Choi was opening a new restaurant every week. Do you remember Pot over in Koreatown? I really like that place. But, this is his first one in a while, so I'm going to go enjoy it, and I hope you do too. Speaking of restaurant openings, which is not something we've talked about so often recently because of all the restaurant closures, Sweet Lady Jane is back, guys. Sweet Lady Jane. If you recall, a few weeks ago, we talked about the closure of this famed bakery famous for their triple berry cake or whatever it's called. And they closed, and after they closed, all these stories started emerging that perhaps there were not the best business practices happening there. There was allegations of wage theft. So, when I saw that they were reopening, I didn't exactly celebrate. I was like, wait. Didn't they close because of bad behavior? Should we maybe approach this with a little bit of caution? Well, it turns out that they're opening with new ownership, okay? So let's give them a chance. Let's learn about the new ownership. Let's see what it is. And you know what? Maybe I will try the triple berry cake after all. However, what I found funniest about this is that they sort of announced and teased that they were coming back on social media with this hashtag Jane is back, right? It was super momentous in their eyes. It was like Michael Jordan coming back with the 4-5, The funny part was that everybody had such a lukewarm reaction to it in the comments, though. They were just like, oh, you guys were gone? Didn't even notice. Oh, you guys were the guys with the triple berry cake, right? Yeah. So not quite the reaction they were probably hoping for when they or their social media team devised the hashtag Jane is back. Nonetheless, congratulations to the new team over there at Sweet Lady Jane, and we wish you success. Final thing I want to talk about before we get into the Top Chef draft. There is a relatively new edition of Alta Journal. Alta Journal is a publication that still comes out in print in these big magazines, not the A4 size magazines, but the big ones that Rolling Stone used to come in, the ones that barely fit on the coffee table. It's an absolutely beautiful publication. They're also online as well. But their latest edition is all about Baja, the part of northern Mexico right to the south of California. And a lot of it actually focuses on Valle de Guadalupe, which is Mexican wine country. It's a quick, I want to say a 3-hour drive from Los Angeles, just south, right? And it's becoming all the rage to go down there and basically go wine tasting in these beautiful Mexican vineyards, and enjoying sort of the culinary bounties in and around these vineyards. In fact, it's become so popular that even my wife has been asking me, "Hey, Luca, when are we going to be taking a trip down to Valle de Guadalupe?" We're already beginning to plan it with some friends, and I'm really looking forward to it. However, in this edition of Alta Journal, Bill Esparza of Eater and Gustavo Arellano of the Los Angeles Times contributed a couple of excellent pieces on really not just how to enjoy Valle de Guadalupe so that you're getting the best out of it, but also how to do it in a respectful way. I mean, one thing I didn't think about is, yes, this is a wine country, but it's a wine country in an extremely delicate ecosystem. It is a wine country literally in the desert, right? I mean, talk about water shortage. It's not a place where you can really expect to go and party all night, which is something that people have been going down there and doing. There have been lots of cantinas opening up. In fact, there's a fascinating story in one of Bill Esparza's pieces about this guy called Mr. Tempo, who is famous for opening King and Queen Cantina, which they actually have in San Diego's Gaslamp Quarter as well. And he's opened one in Valle de Guadalupe, and it's created this nightlife scene in Valle de Guadalupe, and it's a huge problem because in wine country, and apparently this is true of wine countries in general, things typically close down around 5 p.m. because it's actually important to give the soil and the terrain and the water time to rest overnight so that it's able to do its job during the day. And that's currently not happening in Valle de Guadalupe because the nightlife is so poppin'. So basically, the article is all about how you can go down to Valle de Guadalupe and enjoy it, but doing so in a way that's also responsible, aka avoiding these cantinas and going to some of the more sort of like traditional places that are respecting the land. They're actually showcasing the products that are local to there. If you're going to King and Queen Cantina in Valle de Guadalupe, you're drinking Jameson. You're not drinking local wines, right? And to me, that's not really what you want to be doing when you're going to a new place, trying to experience it, trying to enjoy it. So I'm going to post the link to that article in the show notes. It is behind a paywall. I think it's like a $3 subscription fee. Honestly, though, I think it's highly worth it. It is excellent journalism. And if you are even contemplating a trip to Valle de Guadalupe, it'll be worth your time. All right, dear listener, that's all I have for you today. So without further ado, let's move on. Fantasy Top Chef coming up next. After the overwhelming success of Fantasy Top Chef in 2023, we decided to go even bigger and better in 2024 by expanding beyond just Father Saul and I and welcoming two very special guests to the madness this year. Let me introduce them to you one at a time. First, you know her as Jessie Eats on social media. I know her as Jessie Evans. Jessie, how you doing today?
I'm great. I'm so excited to be included in this epic episode.
Well, are you ready for the heat? Because there's some heat.
You know what? I don't know if I'm ready. I actually was doing a little crash course, and you guys have it together in this drafting. Normally I see an episode before and I can kind of get sneak peeks of what I've seen on TV, and we're going in completely just doing homework today.
Also joining us for the first time is friend of the pod, Daniel Wargo, who you might know on social media as Forking Around. Daniel, how you doing today?
Glad to be back on the show and to join this.
Finally, it's with absolutely no pleasure whatsoever that I welcome back to the Fantasy Top Chef pod, the champion, the man who won it all last year, Father Saul. Father Saul, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. Glad to be back. Glad to have some real competition this year. Last year was a bit of a blowout. So Daniel, Jessie, welcome. Glad to have some real competition.
Before we dive into talking about the next season, why don't we spend a little bit of time talking about season 20? Jessie, let's start with you. How did you feel about season 20?
I loved last season, but I feel like it was its own time and place season. I think it was a great, also it wasn't a season 20, so I think it was perfect for a moment to have a little different kind of edge. But we had a lot of contestants that weren't our normal competitors. It was a different vibe. You had the Americans, you had people from all over the world. So it was more about just celebrating culture and talent and coming together versus competition, I felt like last season.
I think we might have lost Luca.
Mic drop, and that's all we wrote.
Hilarious.
He did not agree.
He'll have to do the intro again and everything. Too funny.
He did not agree with that.
While he's gone, I'm actually curious. So Jessie, it sounds like you are. Are you guys both big Top Chef fans? Have you guys been watching the show?
Oh yeah,
definitely. Yeah,
of course.
Yep.
Major.
It's funny because I didn't actually get into it until COVID, and I watched the Portland season, and I loved it so much that I just got fully obsessed, and we went back and watched all the old seasons.
Yeah.
And all that.
Oh wow,
yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and that's fun too. Then you have things to watch.
Did I drop off for everybody?
Good job, buddy.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry about that. My internet's hey, let's fuck up today of all days. Moving on to Milwaukee. Father Saul, I understand a few things have changed going into season 21. Can you quickly walk us through the big changes?
Yeah, so at least from what we've heard, a couple of big changes coming. First and foremost, and we'll talk a little bit more about this, of course, Kristen Kish has come in to replace Padma as host. I think that's the number one biggest change. We can all agree. But they've also taken that moment of transition to make a couple tweaks to the actual gameplay of Top Chef. One, and this is less about the gameplay, more about just the overall delivery, the episodes are going to be almost twice as long. So each episode this season is going to be 75 minutes rather than 42, which was the previous, timing, which is pretty crazy. And I don't know what that means, if it means they're going to be going bigger on challenges or if we're going to be getting more social behind the scenes or how they're going to fill the extra time. But it's a significant increase. Additionally, and this does have an impact on the game, immunity is different this season. So instead of quickfire winners being awarded immunity, only elimination challenge winners will win immunity for the following week's elimination challenge, and quickfires will be solely cash prizes for the season, which is pretty interesting. I'm a little concerned about this change. We'll see how it goes. Curious about other people's takes. And finally, just wanted to quickly note, apparently this year's finale will be at sea. The first time they've ever done a finale at sea. It'll be on a cruise ship and so on and so forth. So I wonder how they're going to bring what the thematics of that finale are going to be. But yeah, as far as let me know if I missed anything. But those are the big changes that I understood for coming
I'm
into
fucking
this
pissed
season.
about that one because, of course, my boy Tom from last year was a cruise chef, and he would have been particularly good at the finale this season. Of course, he would have had to get to the finale, which is a whole other thing. Daniel, let me ask you, okay? What do you think about that change that Father
Mhm.
Saul just elucidated that he's a little nervous about the no immunity?
Yeah, I that was my initial reaction too, was like, oh, that's kind of weird. But then, it also kind of puts a little bit more pressure on the elimination challenge. And also, if you have immunity, you are more motivated to maybe win again. And so I'm curious. I'm optimistic. We'll
Jesse,
see
I
how
see
it
you
goes.
nodding along.
Yeah, I think it raises the stakes, and I think we need that. It's you can't play it safe in this game.
Let's talk a little bit about the setting. This season is taking place in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, actually Wisconsin more generally. Father Saul, what can you tell us about Wisconsin?
Wisconsin. Yeah, I'm down for Wisconsin. I like how they'd mentioned that in an interview with Doneen that I believe you did on your podcast last year. She had specifically named like Appalachia and the Midwest as two areas they haven't really explored in depth. So I'm excited to go do the Top Chef experience in Wisconsin, learn more about the food scene in Madison and Milwaukee. I will say it wasn't top of mind as the most exciting destination. But that's what Top Chef is for. Learn a little bit more about a place you never knew was cool in the first place.
Has anyone here actually been to Wisconsin?
No.
No.
No, me neither. I don't think I have. I feel like I would remember. Closest I've been is Chicago, but that feels extremely different. Okay, I feel like we know that all of the challenges in Top Chef are typically very related to their location, right? What kind of challenges do you think we're going to see some of? Let's go with you, Daniel.
I mean, lots of cheese, lots of beer. I don't look at Wisconsin as having this culinary scene, which I'm happy and excited to be proven wrong. I think of them as like they like burgers with a lot of cheese on them and probably pretty crappy beer. Am I wrong? I don't know.
You're not a
I'm-
PBR guy?
I love it for what it is.
Okay, let's talk about the elephant in the room. The fact that we got a whole new host this season, okay? And Padmalakshmi is gone after 20 seasons. We've got Kristen Kish stepping in as the new host. Jessie, what are you expecting from Kristen this season?
I'm actually hopeful, and I'm going to be supportive. I think we need new energy. I think production-wise, you get to a place 20 seasons, and it becomes comfortable, and you can phone things in. And I think with Kristen, I think she's not only going to elevate Tom and Gail's hosting and what's going down, but I think she adds an element that she's been there. Like, she's already been there, so is it a mentor hosty situation more so because she understands the energy, and she's been working hard on her hosting. I mean, not Top Chef, Iron Chef.
Mm-hmm.
She had Alton Brown, who, I mean, that's going to be somebody that's going to like raise up your hosting skills. But now she's kind of back in her element. So I'm being very hopeful. I think this is going to be a green season, to be honest, because we're kind of rewriting how it goes and how the energy is. But I also think she's gorgeous on screen and cool and has it together. So I'm excited.
Mm-hmm.
She's got great style. You can't argue with that. Saul,
Yeah.
I talked to you about this, on an almost weird basis, how we feel about Top Chef. So I know you've had some hesitations about Kristen in the past. Can you express them?
Well, it's not even that. It's just that before Kristen was announced, she wasn't necessarily highest on my list of top choices. I knew she was in the running, but I actually agree with Jessie now where I'm going in optimistic. I observed Kristen in like I think she's in Top Chef Portland. She came back as a guest judge, as many former All-Stars did. And I also kind of watched the trailer. I actually watched the trailer quite obsessively, trying to get hints for our draft coming up. I was like breaking down film. And I think look, it's totally okay for this to be a growing season. You expect it to be. I think it will take at least a season for them to fully discover their chemistry and like figure out what the dynamics are going to be. As Jessie said, new energy, new vibe post season 20, post Padma. But I think we're going to see real flashes of how well it could work. I'm sure there'll be some bumps along the way, but I can see Kristen growing into the role and doing a good job.
Okay, Daniel, how about you? What's your take on Kristen?
Well, I'm excited to see her give it a go, and I always enjoyed her on the show. I love that. I love having a host who knows something about food that we know is proven in the kitchen, and obviously, is a master at that. It's a great person to have, and I think Padma was kind of uniquely suited for her role in that. You almost think of the host in a lot of these television shows like Ryan Seacrest or whoever, like they can't actually do what everybody else can do, and Padma had this kind of like unique sensibility, and she was also like this gorgeous model, who happened to like live in both worlds. I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna miss her. She's like all of our like mean mom, and like I'm in love with her. She's the greatest. But I'm excited and I'm optimistic and happy that we have something fresh this season.
You heard it here, Pod, but Daniel Wargo is in love with you. Okay, Father Saul, you mentioned this a little bit in terms of what you've been doing to study for the draft. You've been studying the film, okay? I want to hear everybody's draft preparations. Jessie, what did you do to prepare for this?
Okay, well, I did break down the trailer, and there's not much to go on. So you're like, okay, recognizable faces. Maybe the editors are giving us some clues, or maybe they're totally trying to like tease us and make us think something else. It's interesting when you read the bios. After a while, they sound the same. There's a lot of Uchi. For some reason, there's like 4 or 5 chefs that came from Uchi, which I'm like, do we need to go celebrate there for like a mid-season moment?
Maybe. That's crazy. It's like 40 chefs from Uchi, and there's only 15 on the entire season.
Which is the most you expect like the TFLs, you expect, the EMPs, you don't expect Uchi. So that was interesting. And then I think what was really cool about this is there's a lot of unknowns for me. And I was deep diving down Instagram, and the positive I will say is it looks like everybody still has a really good head on their shoulders, and they haven't gone that influencer I'm famous route yet. Is the key word, but
fuck influencers,
seems
right?
like very, the worst. Oh. But they all just seem humble, passionate chefs. So it was a lot of homework, guys.
Yeah. Okay. That's impressive. I'm going to not even tell the listeners that you said you were cramming right before this. We'll leave that out of this.
Yeah. We said that right before we started recording. It's true. Cram session.
It's okay. That's good. I crammed before all the tests I famously aced in college. Daniel, what did you do to prepare?
I cannot stress to you how little I prepared for this. I read the chef testants like whatever. I haven't even seen a bio, to be honest. I didn't even know there was a bio, to be honest. I saw the hometown, the current city of residence, and what their job is. I didn't know there was more. So This is where we're going. I have based my decisions based on where they live and what their job title is, and I did a little research on the restaurants that they work at. So I'm literally just being a judgmental prick here. That's how I'm going on about it.
Well, look, I honestly think, first of all, you've pretty much reverse jinxed yourself into guaranteed winning the competition. Second of all, last year, I think I arguably did too much research and read too much into details that actually have nothing to do with cooking, and it bit me in the ass. So there may be an argument for the type of preparation you did. Father Saul, I want to hear, what's your strategy this year?
So I did do a bunch of homework. I actually went so deep on the trailer, and then I had Jessie's thought where it was like, well, are they going to give anything away? And I went back to past seasons, watched their trailers, and tried to see how much they gave away in those trailers. The answer is not that much. But I got deep. I'm defending champ. I have a lot of pride. I want this one. I want this one bad. Also, I will say there is something to be said. I have a category. Speaking of judgmental assholes, this is not a real thing. It's not really judging, but I'm a big believer in winner face. Like when you look at someone, you're like, "That's a winner, it's a winner right there." And I have a category on my Google sheet that says "winner's face?" question mark, and then yes or no. So I look, Daniel, you might still have, as Lucas said, some advantage despite the light touch research.
This is like, it's the opposite of Shamit face.
Yeah. There's this is a real thing, I believe, and it might be fully confirmation bias once we see the winners, but doesn't matter. I'm a believer, and I'm using every piece of data I can. I'm also gonna end up with one less contestant than each of you based on the way the draft plays out. So I gotta nail my picks.
I was
Yeah,
wondering
okay.
the math.
Same.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's 15 contestants and there's only 4 of us, so it doesn't break out cleanly. So this seems like a perfect time to transition. Father Saul, why don't you tell us a little bit about how this draft is going to work and what the rules of the overall Fantasy Top Chef are?
Yeah, okay, so the way this draft is going to work is as follows. As the defending champ, me and Luca went back and forth on this. Because it's an uneven number, I'm going to be taking the first pick and getting only 3 contestants to each of y'all's 4. It is what it is. There'll be no excuses on my end, but that's how it's going to play out. The way the
Real quick,
yeah,
can we all just like witness that he said there will be no excuses? Like
I'm not an excuse maker.
I just want to say, I just want to make sure everybody heard it from like your mouth to God's ears.
Absolutely. I'm going to be placing stories in the LA Times being like, Saul didn't have a player. I'm going to be using like secret sources, right? Sources close to Saul say, in fact, it was a huge disadvantage. But, I have a random name picker here on my computer that will determine the rest of the picks order. And then what we'll do is during the draft itself, it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4. So me followed by each of you, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Oh, sorry, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4 will be the last in a row. Yes.
Okay.
Perfect.
And that'll be the way it goes. Now, for rules, first of all, we have to give a hat tip to the podcast Pack Your Knives. They pioneered Fantasy Top Chef. We take our rules from them.
I'm gonna bleep it out. I'm gonna bleep it out so that we don't actually promote other podcasts. Yeah,
we owe them a lot of credit, but really important, Jessie and Daniel. This is how this works. So each week during the quick fire challenge, if your contestant places in the top 3, they will get 1 point. If they win the quick fire, they get 3 points. Okay? In the elimination challenge, if they place in the bottom 3, they get 0. If they place in the middle, they get 2 points. And then if they're top 3, 5 points. And if they win the elimination challenge, that's worth 10 points. All right? Finally, Last Chance Kitchen, which we assume is coming back. I haven't heard otherwise. You will still be able to get points if your contestant is in Last Chance. If they move on from a Last Chance round, they get 1 point. If they are eliminated from Last Chance, they get -1 point. Oh, and it's important to state, if your chef gets eliminated during the elimination challenge, that's -5 points. So there's math that goes in both directions. And finally, and this is kind of like a tiebreaker of sorts, I guess. Not even tiebreaker. It's a big swing. The winner of Top Chef, the winner of the finale, 25 points.
It's huge. So basically, you can be in like last place, but as long as you have a horse in the race,
yes,
as long as you're within relative striking distance, you still have a chance of winning.
Yeah, the real trick with this, and it is tough to do this with 4 people, I will say, because the key to the game is having a contestant, right? What you really want is just to like be in the game, getting points in some way. So only having 3 contestants each is a little tough. But however, the way the point system is intended to work, I think, is to help anyone, even if they only have 1 contestant, be able to keep a pace if their contestant is doing well.
This is the sportiest thing I've ever done, you guys.
Welcome to sports, Jessie. It's a beautiful world.
I understand it now.
Yeah, it helps when like the output is like delicious food that we get to see on our TVs. So I definitely appreciate that. Other thing we need to discuss before we begin is, what does the winner get? Okay, I think this is what we decided. We agreed upon this with a blood oath before we actually signed on. And this is based on what we did last year, which is the winner will get basically enough of a gift card to go and enjoy whatever the Los Angeles Times restaurant of the year is. So I'm saying this now. It'll be footed by the Los Angeles Food Podcast, so don't worry about it. But basically, like it's you don't have to bring your fellow contestants. You know, you could bring whoever you want. You could say "fuck you guys," I never want to see you guys again. It doesn't matter, okay? But that is the prize. We're playing for a meal at the Restaurant of the Year 2024. Do we all agree upon that?
Great steaks.
Love it.
Okay. All right. And of course, there's eternal bragging rights. I cannot tell you how many times Father Saul brings up the fact that he beat me at this. So be prepared to be reminded.
Oh, yeah. I haven't even – the final score was 266-89. I have that memorized.
Whoa.
I crushed him. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It was bad.
Well,
It was
okay. I'll when we're actually doing the picks, I'll explain where I went wrong last year and why I won't do the same thing this year, okay? Without further ado, Father Saul, why don't you tell us what the draft order is going to be?
All right. I'm going to click the wheel of fortune.
Misfortune in our case.
Second pick is wow. This is not rigged, but it is Luca. All right, Jessie and Daniel. Here we go. Ooh, it's gonna be Jessie.
All right.
Yep.
Winner face on.
Okay.
All
Okay,
right.
so the draft order is Saul 1, me at 2, Jessie at 3, Daniel at 4. Father Saul, you're on the clock.
I'm on the clock now, guys. This is really tough. So last year, when me and Luca did this for the first time, it was obviously a World All-Star season, meaning we knew contestants, right? We at least had some familiarity with the American folks. Buddha went number 1 overall to me. You can now understand why I won by such a margin. But the huge advantage to going first in that context is actually knowing the people. Going off completely blind faith bios, a trailer is tough. I have 2 contestants who I was going back and forth between, and I landed Laura Ozilmaz, who
Damn.
is a chef, born and raised in Mexico. She has her own restaurant called Dalida, which is in the Presidio in San Francisco, Middle Eastern cuisine, ironically, since it's not my favorite, and was named Best New Restaurant in America by Esquire, Best New Restaurant by Eater San Francisco, and was recently added to the Michelin Guide. My thinking here is that now, like, she has both also great pedigree, right? 11 Madison Park, other Michelin star places. Based on the trailer, I think she does make it a little far. I saw her in a couple episodes popping up in the background, not too heavily featured, so they weren't giving anything away. But I found her, and I think she has the intensity to like a Buddha-like intensity to bring to the competition. So Laura, don't let me down. First overall pick.
I like this pick. On my draft board that I have when I was doing my research, she was second pick for me. So she was up there for me. I think I appreciated the pedigree. And I thought because of her training, she has Mexican background, Turkish Mediterranean flavors. She worked at Boulud, so she's got the French down. She trained in the Basque Country. I mean, she's kind of a Swiss Army knife when it comes to flavors.
I wrote she will be a quiet beast for some reason. It must have been the photo that winner photo.
She has strong winner face. I will say
strong winner face. Is there precedent for someone who is not American winning?
Off the top of my head, it's hard to.
Yeah, I'm trying to think too.
I think Gabe Morales was born in Mexico. I think that was like a big part of the season. I think he might have been the first Mexican winner, but no, I don't know beyond that.
Okay, because I was looking at some precedents and stuff to kind of see like what do the stats tell us about who wins these things. Okay, so okay, well that's a good pick. Okay, you've got Laura Ozilmaz as your first pick. You're off the board, right, Saul?
Yep.
Off to me. Okay, so guys, here was my strategy last year and where I went wrong. Okay, I leaned too heavily into the narrative last year. I thought like, okay, we don't really know that much about these contestants, so let's think about what would make the best stories. So I was looking at things like who's a single parent, who's overcome a disease, who's overcome some extreme hardship. What would make for the best highlights package? And
it's
then
a fundamental misunderstanding of the show and how television works, by the way, which I told him in the moment.
A beautifully scripted version, but we're talking reality TV.
Yeah, but I just figured because reality TV, the narrative matters. There's for example, Buddha on his first season. What narrative did they play up? Father Saul, do you care to remind us?
His father had recently passed. Luca, you realize they retrofit the narrative based on who wins. You think Tom Colicchio would ever allow a winner of Top Chef based on narrative?
I mean,
God,
it's not.
You made it too easy.
Here's the thing. This year, I'm not doing that, okay? I'm going strictly on pedigree. I was looking at the bios and scouring them for a few things. Number one, have they led kitchens? Number two, what caliber kitchens have they led? I didn't get too hung up on awards because I think the awards, and I'll get into this in some of the picks, I think you can read between the lines of some awards to actually see where too many awards is a bad thing, and I'll tell you why. I'm just going with stats this year. I don't know anything else. I'm just going off stats. And based off stats, I think you would have to be perhaps the dumbest person in the world, if you have the first pick, to not pick Kevin D'Andrea.
Oh!
You made a huge mistake. You made a huge mistake.
Okay. All right. Let me tell you a little bit about Kevin D'Andrea before Father Saul tells me why I'm wrong. Kevin D'Andrea was a finalist on Top Chef France in 2015. Ladies and gentlemen, he's done this before. He's been in the pit before. He's been in the trenches. No other contestant can say that. He's cooked under Michelin star kitchens. He's worked for Alain Ducasse, and critically, he also has led kitchens, executive chef at various places. I also was impressed by the fact that he's a French guy who's developed a fondness for Texas. I mean, that's versatility right there. The ability to be able to appreciate queso when you've been dealing with beurre blanc your entire life. I respect that, okay? So I'm going second pick in the draft, Kevin D'Andrea. It's an immaculate pick.
I'm not going to lie, Luca, I'm very jealous. That was one of my tops. And I think the other thing that you're missing that is a strong thing is he also is a pastry dessert skilled chef. His whole place there in Foley Pops is all pastry. So we're talking about all the competitions where someone's stuck at the end doing dessert. That's where he's going to come in.
I didn't even see that. That is, I'm a genius. Thank you,
jealous.
Jessie.
I'm so jealous. Yes, I'm giving you props.
Jesse, here's why you shouldn't be concerned. Top Chef France. I just had a conversation about this. So Top Chef France is actually quite different than the American Top Chef experience. And in fact, during Top Chef World All-Stars last year, there were two contestants who competed on Top Chef France, both of whom Luca picked on his team. The first one was the first guy eliminated in the entire show. The second was a woman named Victoire, who was one of those contestants.
No, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. She was Top Chef Italy.
Okay, was she?
Yeah.
Double check that. She was French. She could speak French. In the back, I'm not concerned in the least about this guy. It's going to be an entirely different experience. I think he's going to be out of his depth. He makes cake lollipops as his job or something. I'm not concerned. And by the way, Luca, I called Luca earlier to clarify some details. And he was like, by the way, I know exactly who the top guy is. And I was like, I know exactly who you're thinking of. And it's a mistake. And it was this guy.
Oh, no.
I can't wait to beat you again, bud. All right, sorry. I think Jesse, you're up.
Jesse, you're on the clock.
All right. Although he was in my top two, my top one is Danny Garcia. And I am so excited to have him. Let me tell you about him. He is the executive chef of the Saga Hospitality Group. So we're not talking about the executive chef of a restaurant. We're talking about a group, 4 restaurants. 2 of them have Michelin stars. He's used to opening restaurants. He's used to being the leader of all these amazing places. He has the experience. And his experience before all this was TFL nomad. He's traveling to Hong Kong, opening places. He is back in New York. His Instagram shows that he runs marathons. So he is ready for the race. He's got stamina to pull all of his stuff in the kitchen. I think he is number 1.
He was your number 1 overall on your board?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is a great pick. This was my number 2 option. And
really?
Yes.
That was my number 1. And I did very little research.
First of all,
you knew that he was from New York.
Exactly.
This was the hardest call was between, for me, Laura and Daniel. I think they're the 2 clear standouts, and I was really hoping Daniel would fall to my next pick. Good job, Jesse.
Thank you.
So he was. This is how good I am at this game. He was second last on my board. Second last.
Really?
Why?
So I honestly was looking at. I'm looking at pedigree, right? I think the thing that bit me in the ass here, Jesse, is I was not as familiar with Saga Hospitality Group as you are. So I wasn't sure, how big or how impressive that was, because I gotta say, I did research, but I'm not like Saul. I have a life, you know? So basically, like, I saw Boku's door, okay? And I was like, Boku's door, like, okay, it's like, what is that? Like the World Cup of like chefs where like a bunch of little chefs get together and like compete against each other? I was like,
No, it's the World Cup of Chefs, man. It's like one of the most like prestigious competitions in the world. What are you talking about?
I wasn't saying little chefs. A bunch of little chefs.
all right, I thought it was like, I thought it was maybe like, you know, like young chefs get together and try to like make something. I literally, my first note on Danny Garcia is how impressive is the Boku's door really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. All right, guys. I think
right.
what I'm trying to say is great job, Jessie, and
Thank you.
I'm growing increasingly concerned. Daniel, you're on the clock.
Okay, thank you. I would just like to say, while you guys were making your picks and telling all this information, I've been on the Top Chef website. I realized you can click the name.
Yeah.
And it gives you a lot more information. So
Yeah.
I'm up to speed now. Okay, so two of my top three picks have already gone. So I'm feeling really good about myself and my third pick, which is going to be Amanda Turner out of Austin, Texas, the CDC at Olamai, something like that.
Nailed it.
Thank you. And she was an emerging chef in 2022 for the James Beard semifinalist. And I have this theory, and this might be going a little bit like last year Luca, but like I'm really I'm betting high on a woman winning Top Chef this year. I think it's going to go to a woman. And I love that she's got this like Southern cuisine with a mix of the African influence.
Full on fusion.
I think that's super really interesting, and it's something that we saw with Chef a couple of years ago. Yeah. And so would love to see kind of more of that. I think that's a missing component to Top Chef in many ways. And so I'm going to go with Amanda.
Jessie, what do you think about this pick?
That was actually in my top 5. So I think you did really good in your cram session just then. And I think the only thing I'm nervous about with her is that, her bio, she's done everything. She's like gone to Japan. She knows how to do pasta. She knows how to butcher whole animals. But are we too messy? Are we mixing up a story, or is she able to really tell her story in dishes, or is it too fusiony? But I think that's what makes it exciting. We'll see.
Okay, I that's an interesting flag. I had her firmly in the middle of my board, 7, so it's not too low. Like I feel like I could have gotten her second round if all things had gone accordingly. My one thing is that I mentioned awards, right? I am not convinced that being a James Beard semifinalist is as, I don't want to say impressive. It's obviously impressive. It's huge, right? But I do think like if you're trying to like rank the awards that are mentioned in here, that one I kind of weighted a little bit less, and it's literally just because I was having lunch with someone last week, and I mentioned like, hey, we're next door to a restaurant that's James Beard semifinalist, and he's someone who knows a lot of stuff, and he was like, yeah, it doesn't mean anything. So I was like, I think I've been in my head about James Beard semifinalists ever since. I'm like, okay, once you get to the nominee round, now we're talking, okay? But semifinalist, that's where I'm like, I take it with a grain of salt. So I think you'll see that as a theme in my selections. Saul, how stupid do you think I am?
Well, I don't think you're that stupid, because with my next pick, I'm taking Valentine Howell Jr., who is a James Beard finalist out of the Northeast. Valentine Howell Jr., out of Boston, interesting background. Like Daniel, I like the cuisine background he has, Caribbean, Afro-Latin, and Latin street foods. I think he'll bring a bit of flavor to Wisconsin. I'm a little worried about the accessibility of the ingredients he might have, but I think given that particular pedigree that you just spoke of, Luca, about getting to the finalist round of James Beard, I feel like he might be the right choice for me to hang in there with my 3 contestants farther along in the season. Also, he seems pretty cool based on the trailer.
Okay, that's something I did not watch very much. I feel validated because he was relatively high on my board. He was number 6. But Jessie, how do you feel about that pick?
Yeah, I think it's a good pick. I think the food that's going to come from him is going to be different. It's going to be interesting. And I think it's a winner face, probably Saul.
Winner face.
On that. Yeah.
Winner face.
Winner face.
I wrote in my notes Boston Strong, which is, it's going to be good. And the other thing I liked about him too is wasn't he a James Beard finalist like really recently too?
Yes,
Like
2023,
last
I
year.
believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that means he's at the
he's
top
new
of
on
his
the
game.
scene. New on the scene. I think really a rising chef in the truest sense. And hopefully, yes, that momentum keeps him going. But yes, I think he's fresh. But I think recently high strong pedigree. So we'll see how that plays out.
Well, it says he has 20 years of experience, so he's not that fresh.
Okay, fair enough. But recently recognized, sure.
Yeah.
And this new chapter, yes, he's fresh.
Yeah. All right, guys, I'm not going to lie. Even I am concerned about my next pick. The reasons I wrote that I would pick this person next are as follows. Cowboy hat, pizza, I'm all in. And those don't seem like very in line with the strategy I've outlined so far. But with my second pick of the draft, 6th pick overall, I'm picking David Murphy. He's a Houston native. He currently cooks in San Francisco. He's the chef and co-owner of Shuggy's Trash Pie. Honestly, just something about this bio really spoke to me. I felt like it was calling my name. It's pizza, which is something that I am incredibly passionate about. I love the approach they take at Shuggy's Trash Pie, which is basically about it's a no waste approach, taking things that typically get wasted and infusing them into every single aspect of the pizza shop experience. He does have background. He also was a sous chef at Uchi. It turns out he's one of the many people who cooked at Uchi. And he has been an executive chef in the past, including at Michelin star restaurants. So I feel like he has that pedigree hiding underneath the surface. But I like that he's kind of been a maverick and gone in his own way and started Shuggy's Trash Pie. So 6th pick in the draft, David Murphy. That's who I'm picking. Daniel, how jealous are you?
Pretty jealous just because of all that you said, but I didn't have him high on my list, to be honest. He doesn't he doesn't have game face to me. He doesn't what are we calling it? Winner's face?
Yeah.
He looks like a loser, I guess.
Oh, shit.
Jesse, you seem upset when Luca announced his
I could not be more jealous because this was my fun pick. This was like pure fun. Somebody that's going to wear a Western cowboy hat and like 70s, 80s style glasses with that stash and have a place like that. There's not only entertainment points that could possibly happen. Not now that we know it's a competition, but there's some things I think that could get some entertainment points from this. But also I think he's just a good time and somebody that's making pizza is a good person. Like, it's a good time. So I can't even imagine what he's going to do in all the competitions. Yeah, I'm extremely jealous.
Do you think that there's anything to like a personality pick? Because like, have you noticed that like a lot of the like nice chefs, like they stick around for a while because they like become friends with people and like, they almost like, I don't know. There is almost like a mentality of like, I want to keep my friends around. So, if I have an opportunity to help them in a challenge, I will and whatnot. Do you think there's anything to a personality pick?
And think about too, there's all those competitions when you're working in pairs or you're working in groups. You need to work well with others. Who are you excited to work with? I feel like he's the one I would be excited to have on my team.
Yeah. I think that's where the benefit of personality, like the chemistry fit, I think comes in a real way. Otherwise, I think I'd be concerned about like confirmation bias. We remember the personalities we like who tend to last a long time, like an Amar or a Sarah, but the ones that were cool but were down by episode 2. Of course, we forget, but even if they were nice people. But I think there is something to that. I looked at this guy's Instagram and I was like, I can't deal. Even though he has a great pedigree. I was like, I don't know if I would hang out with this guy. And so it makes total sense as a fun pick. Luca, I think it was a solid pick probably. But yeah, for me, I was like, not on my team. Not on my team.
Why wouldn't you want to hang? What's his deal?
Just very flamboyant. I'm a down to earth guy. He's like really he's bold in his choices. For all the reasons that Jesse rightfully I think enjoys him, I was like, I don't think I can get a bear with this guy, so I'm gonna pass.
You get a beer with me. I can't think of anybody more flamboyant than myself. So
maybe that's actually a decent point. Actually, but he I think exceeds even you. So wow. yeah, I have a bar at least.
All right, fair enough. Glad to know I meet the bar. Okay, pick number 7 in the draft goes to Jessie Evans. Jessie, who you got?
All right, we're out of my like necessity people. So now we're playing like a little bit of chance, right? And I don't want to butcher this chef's name. Rizilla Venkatesa?
Mm-hmm.
I'm picking her from India, started management front of house, and then, so she started in the front and then went to the whole kitchen life. So I think that if she can make it to Restaurant Wars is going to benefit me so much, because we need somebody that gets all aspects of the restaurant and not just doing amazing, beautiful food. Plus, I read that she's trying to open up her new own restaurant. So I think there's a drive there to get that money. So that's my next pick.
That's it. I had her right about where you picked her on my board, and I liked her pedigree. She's got incredible pedigree. French Laundry, Murad. She rose to chef de cuisine at Murad, which is with like Michelin star Middle Eastern restaurant in San Francisco. She seemed a little young to me. I was a little nervous about that.
But in the trailer, a lot.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Good to know. All right. Well, then I think overall, we think this is an appropriate pick. I don't know.
Yeah.
Was it too safe? Daniel, do you think it was too safe?
It's going to be that guy today just because somebody has to fill that role. I just think terrible pick. Terrible. Awful. You're all going to lose to me.
For no reason at all, just a horrible pick.
I've got no, even as the season goes on, you'd be like, yeah, it was a terrible pick. He was right.
Yeah. He was right. I do have a weird feeling that Daniel's going to like kick all of our asses for
100%.
Yeah.
It is the plan. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. All right. Well, speaking of plans, Daniel, pick number 8. You're on
All
the board.
right. Okay, here we go. This is going to be Alicia Elenzi. Because from out of Chicago, Illinois. And I'm doing this on the fly because I actually thought when I read that she was a private chef, I thought, yikes. But read, my friends. When you read, she's a 2-time James Beard nominated chef. She's a 2019 recipient of the Jean Banchett for Rising Chef of the Year. Okay, at 23, she got an executive chef position. She is now a private chef. And I actually think now, reversing my first thought, that this is actually the best potential option because she's always in the kitchen working stuff out. If you're a CDC, you're not cooking. Like you're like tasting and maybe you're like, do a little more of that. You're not cooking. Like she's cooking. And this is a show for cooks. And so I think that with this, she's going to be the most like ready to handle this day in, day out competition.
Look, I know how we've felt about private chefs in the past. I don't think they've historically done so well. And I think we famously in the draft last year kind of like shrugged off private chefs. But I had her pretty high on my board. I kind of think the tide has to turn with private chefs at some point. Like one day a private chef is going to have a big season. Could this be Alicia Evans, Alas Dad, Father Saul, I should say, who has done extensive research, as we all now know?
She could be. And Daniel pointing out her qualifications at such a young age makes a ton of sense. I was concerned about youth because I think that's also a thing that like it's hard for young chefs to break through on Top Chef. Look, wasn't Charbel a private chef when at the time that he competed? Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I thought he was, and one of the reasons he was low on our draft picks for season 20, and did a pretty commendable job. So I think she could certainly be a solid contestant. Will she make the finale? Not so sure.
Jesse, where was she on your board?
It was either between my last pick and her. So I think you did a great choice, actually.
Thank you.
I also of course, listen. I also, in my, rabbit hole Instagram stalking, trying to get any other like pieces of info I could get, it looks like she was on Chopped. So she's done competition TV show. And she also, I think, making the choice to become a private chef during this pandemic time, I think is actually a plus because you realize you don't want to be in the craziness of restaurant world. You want to cook your own food and do your own story. So I'm seeing that as a positive now since the pandemic.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
That all makes sense. All right. Well, we now each have 2 picks. We're moving on to the third round. Father Saul, you're on the clock. Who's your final pick?
This is the one.
Third and final pick. This is a tough one. There's 2 contestants, so I'm going in between. And I'm going to end up with Charlie Pierre out of New Orleans. So Charlie is a 2-time James Beard nominee. He is Zagat's 30 Under 30 and Eater Nola's 2022 Restaurant of the Year chef. He just seems like a good vibe. I'm not going to read a bunch of his like qualifications because I saw him in the trailer a bunch. Seems like a nice guy. Seems to cook good food. Seems to have good energy. And I think I think I'm relying heavily on the trailer for this year's draft, but potentially more so than because I started watching it like 30 minutes before we started. But I think he lasts. And I think he's a likable guy. And I do want for my team to have that chemistry. We have 2 competitors. We have 2 winners. We need a glue guy. And he's going to pull it together for us. Charlie Pierre.
I'm jealous. He was the highest person remaining on my board, which may actually be a bad thing for you. So
that's terrible news. That's awful.
But he was high. I liked the fact he's got the Haitian angle. There's some cool flavors going on there. Obviously, Chef Jeffrey Gourdet brought those in a really strong way a few seasons ago. So I like that. I also, you might hate to hear this, but he's got the narrative angle. His dad was in the business, so I can totally see him making daddy proud type thing. Just saying, just throwing that in there.
Okay. Of the remaining contestants, I think there is someone with a possibly stronger narrative thrust than my dad was also in the restaurant business. But yes, now off you go, guys. Let's see how you do. Luca.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the narrative angle because it's waited long enough. But I've got to go with hometown hero Dan Jacobs. I could have seen Dan Jacobs being a number 1 pick or at least first round pick, right? Because he has a lot of things going for him. Dan Jacobs, he's from Chicago, but he's currently in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He owns and runs a lot of restaurants or a couple of restaurants. One is a globally inspired tasting menu concept and the other is a Chinese American concept. Him and his partner are 6 times James Beard semifinalists, which again, I'm a little concerned by the fact that they've never progressed past semifinalist and have been nominated 6 times. I'm a little concerned about that. But the main thing here is he has done a lot for the city of Milwaukee. He's raised a ton of money for restaurants in and around COVID. And he also had to overcome Kennedy's disease, which apparently is often mistaken for ALS. So a pretty scary thing to have to overcome. So if we're talking narrative, overcoming disease, hometown hero, doing a lot for the community, it doesn't get more loaded than Dan Jacobs. However, I feel good knowing that he actually knows how to run a kitchen, and he's been recognized for it. So I've hedged my bets a little bit, but that's my pick, Dan Jacobs. Who wants to laugh first?
No. This is a good pick. I honestly think this might be your best pick, Luca, in the end. I will say possibly. It's funny. As soon as Luca said it, I was like a little bit regretting it because, okay, look, the part of his bio that makes you scared is with a disease that often makes simple tasks like walking upstairs or chopping an onion feel like a massive undertaking. He's proud to run 2 standout restaurants. He seems really cool. He seems like a great guy. I got scared off by the fact that with his condition, it's hard to chop an onion on a timed cooking show, which is probably cowardly of me. Luca, if he runs, it would be a deserving win if you win with Dan Jacobs and this pick.
But he doesn't have it anymore, right?
Oh, I don't know. Does he?
I mean, I feel like he doesn't. I mean, because it's mistaken for. We got to do more research on the Kennedy's disease, man. I think we need to like raise awareness for it or something. But like, because like it says it's mistaken for it, but it's not. So perhaps it's reversible, perhaps it's curable. So I just think I don't know that he still has trouble cutting an onion.
There is no cure for Kennedy's disease. I just go that.
Damn it!
It's just not like as severe as ALS, but I think it has similar symptoms is what they're trying to.
Okay.
Yeah, or I don't know about severity even. I shouldn't say that. Let's get out of the medical business, man.
This is not a medical. This is not a medical podcast. I will say though, if he's made it this far and he can run successful restaurants, chances are he can do this. I feel good about that. I feel good about this pick. I think like I was worried about too much narrative, but ultimately like 3rd round, I'm gonna take him if he's still on the board. That was what I came into this with.
I think it's the perfect Luca pick. It brings everything together and meant to be. And I am jealous of the hometown advantage, I will say.
I will say, Jessie, that sounded a little bit like an insult, but that's okay. Jessie, moving on, you've got the next pick.
All right, I'm going also story. I think this is where we are in the draft. I'm going Kenny Nguyen, who is Vietnamese, and it looks like that's funny. I mean, these bios, who knows who wrote them? Is it their PR for their restaurants? Is it whatever? Which makes sense what you're saying with the James Beard. I mean, of course you're going to put your semifinalist on your bio, but I think the wins are the things that would be more exciting. But Kenny Nguyen, the story is, it's all about Vietnamese family roots, which I'm excited to see in the dishes. I think they're going to be delicious. And also he is trying to open up his own restaurant called Pretty Boy, which I guess is how it's translated, what his grandma used to call him. So I think there's that drive there too, that hunger to win. I'm hopeful. I don't know. This is like the heartfelt mush one at this point.
I like that. I mean, he was actually not that low on my board. I mean, he wasn't like, he was definitely like bottom third, but I like the fact that he was a fishmonger in a past life. I feel like skills like that always come back to help. Like, for example, in those skills challenge or those speed challenges, God forbid there's like something fish related, he'll be like the perfect contestant for that. He's led kitchens, as you said. He's like got ambition to do more. I don't know. I think he could have done worse, Jessie.
Thank you.
Yeah, spreading positivity. See, guys, this is what it feels like to be supported in your picks, okay? Moving on. Daniel, who you got?
Right, well, since Jessie took my pick,
Sure.
I'm going to go with Savannah Miller. We're going to form an all-female team this year, I think. That's how I'm feeling. CDC at M Tempura, she does a little bit of Japanese, a little bit Korean. She did a 30-seat tasting menu. I'm not so sure about this North Carolina thing. Like, what is there to eat there? That's my biggest concern. But there could be good food anywhere, and I hope that she's a winner for me.
I'm not gonna lie, she was dead last on my board.
Okay.
Dead last. Yeah,
that means a lot to me, actually.
Yeah, it might be good for you, actually. I saw the 30-seat tasting menu thing, and I was like, ooh, impressive. But then I really thought about it. How hard is it? I'm sure it's hard in its own way, but how relevant it is to the Top Chef thing to do the same 30-seat tasting menu every single night for 4 years in a situation where you have to be constantly on your toes, switching things up. That actually gave me more concerns than like assurances. Jessie, I saw you nodding your head. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree. I think unless you're the only one prepping everything, you're a one-man team for a 30-seat tasting menu.
But you have to, at a 30-seat tasting menu, you've got to, as the CDC, you have to be constantly, it's not like we're serving the same thing for 4 years straight.
Do you know that?
Oh, no, I don't know, but I mean, I can't imagine.
It's a good bet that they were switching it up a bit.
They were switching it up. They had to kind of develop things and, throw some new stuff in.
I just think sometimes you don't know what you don't know.
Luca just has a bias against tasting menus, unreasonably.
I like the Spice Girls that you're building.
Thank you. We're getting there. Yeah. We're getting there. I think I feel like it's a strong-ish pick.
I low-key just want to pick the women left now because just to make sure you don't accomplish your Spice Girls. That would be
I think there's only one dude left, 2 dudes.
Yeah,
there's 1 dude and 2 women left. Okay, so Father Saul skips his next pick because he's the winner. And honestly, I don't think I think we were all kind of aligned because the next 3 people on my board were 10 or below. So I think we're all kind of aligned that this is a round 3 pick. Okay. But I'm going to go with the highest person on my list. And I'm not doing this because actually, you know what? I'm switching it up. Last minute switch. I was going to pick Michelle Wallace, but I'm going with Manny Barella. Manny Barella is, I'm actually surprised he's fallen down this low for everybody. I thought I was just being overly cautious, but he's a chef that his bio reads like an extremely long CV. He's got a bunch of different things. He's got a Mexican background, but he's lived all over the world. He's been an executive chef. He's worked at a ton of different 5-star restaurants. He doesn't really have many accolades to his name, and I think that's because he switched places of employment so often. So maybe he hasn't had a chance to actually gain that kind of recognition. My biggest flag with him and why he felt so far down my board is that he describes himself as an eatertainer. He's working on an eatertainment concept, which scares me. I don't know. Have you guys ever been to a good eatertainment concept?
No.
Yes.
Yes?
I went with you, buddy. Super Frico.
Oh,
in Las
actually,
Vegas. Yeah.
Would you consider that entertain? I guess you would. Yeah, I guess. Well, can you remind us what Super Frico is for the people in the back?
So Super Frico was like it was like a restaurant, an Italian restaurant in Las Vegas, but like performance artists would just kind of go through, and every so often some really weird thing would happen, like some guy dressed in a banana costume would come out dancing. You're like, okay. And at one point there was a waiter who stopped on the floor and then they put a square of tape on the floor, and anyone who stepped in the tape, he would start applauding loudly for. Anyway, that seems like entertainment to me. Anyway, not taking us off track. Yeah,
that was actually a really fun dinner, and the food was done by an actually really good chef whose name is escaping me. He's the guy who wrote the book Pizza Czar. His Instagram handle's Millennium Falco, but I cannot remember his actual name. But really talented chef, and he does the food for that concept. So maybe I'm being hard on entertainment, but it just didn't strike me as being a safe pick.
I'm gonna guess that Manny will not have access to the resources to execute entertainment on Top Chef, so I think it's probably a good bet. Yeah,
fair enough. All right, well that's my pick. All right, we can go to the final pick of Jessie Evans. Jessie, who you got?
All right, my final pick is going to be a female. I'm going Michelle Wallace.
Smart.
And it's interesting because the bio is all about the Sandwich Co. Company. It kind of made me flash to Carrie. What was her name? Carrie Bird. Was that?
Oh, Carrie Baird. Yeah.
She did all the fancy toasts. So I'm like, okay, let's not and we're talking to a sandwich king over here, Luca. But let's not diminish sandwiches. Maybe there's something exciting that's going to come out of just this comfort, nostalgia, simplicity. Let's not knock it because we don't really know what it's all about.
Mm-hmm.
No, also the coolest thing about Michelle to me is she fell in love with barbecue and studied under Greg Gatlin, who's a barbecue guru, one of the preeminent guys in the world for barbecue. And you can tell that, she's got to have an incredible work ethic to be able to master something like being a pit master. Also, famously, I think being a pit master is a hugely male-dominated field. Mm-hmm. So to be able to break into that is really impressive in my mind. I will say that was also kind of a 6 years doing barbecue. Versatility may not be her strength. I guess we just don't know what she has in her locker. But this one could go either way.
Yeah, she was last on my list. I'm just chiming in now. I have no picks, but I'm just throwing out takes because why not? I think barbecue doesn't translate super well to Top Chef. I only have one data point for that, which is Roscoe from season 18, who worked with Rodney Scott. To me, the specificity of sandwiches and the specificity of barbecue made Michelle a high-risk pick, I'll say. And I'm surprised the last pick is the last pick. Kalina was kind of mid on my middle tier on my board, but Daniel ends up with her. I'm surprised that she fell so far.
Do you want to make your girl power team official?
I'm very excited to select Kalina Bliss as the last pick of the 2024 draft, Top Chef draft. My only hang up in why I hadn't picked her as before some of my other picks was. And Father Saul will be able to counteract me on this, but the Pacific Northwest thing kind of scared me a little bit, just because it's she says she cooks Pacific Northwest cuisine, and it's that to me doesn't feel very I don't know what is that really,
She fucking loves she smokes a fuck ton of salmon.
It's shoot cheese and
no, you're not wrong to squint your eyes at that at all, Daniel. I mean, look, it's basically seafood and mushrooms and and veggies. It's a pretty standard thing, maybe with a heavy seafood lean. The thing with Kalina though is that I don't know if this is on her bio either, but she's been on TV competitions before in the past and won them. I don't know all of them that she's done, but she has experience being on camera and competing, which is why I almost considered her for my second overall pick. Actually, she was listed there.
Wow.
And I know her background. Puget Sound 40 under 40 isn't the most impressive,
right?
Business Journal 40, but and also her actual job. But yeah, I think you might landed with a gem here, Daniel.
Well, I will say
I've had it planned all along.
Yeah, I mean, you were slow rolling it for sure. Her like strengths are foraging and mental health and mental wellness. Those are like the things she cares about. Mental wellness, I can see that being an advantage in the competition because it's an incredibly mentally tough competition. Foraging, you're going to need a very specific challenge, and I'm not sure Wisconsin is the place that's going to happen. So that might not come in handy. So I don't know. I just wrote too crunchy next to her name for why I had her at 13th.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Without, I couldn't put that word to it. But yes.
Yeah. But I don't know. We have some like pretty crunchy people who have done well in the past, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sarah from Top Chef Portland, though, of course, that was like her home territory. She was kind of hometown. Yeah.
Yeah. Crunch is by no means an eliminating factor, okay? Okay, so guys, that's the draft. Do you want me to read you your teams real quick? Saul, you've only got 3 players. You've got Los Tres Amigos, okay? You've got Laura Ozilimas, you've got Valentine Hal Jr., and you've got Charlie Pierre. How you feeling?
I feel like, I hope Valentine is really the key pick for me. That second pick is going to be core. I have a lot of confidence in Laura. I hope Valentine comes through, especially passing on, who was it, David Murphy? I think I passed on. That could end up being tough.
All right, Jesse, you've got Danny Garcia, Rosica, you've got Kenny Wynn, and you've got Michelle Wallace. Wow. What do you think?
I am very hopeful of my Danny Garcia. I'm not putting all my eggs in one basket, but I think that's going to be my strong contender. And then I think I might get some points in the quick fires and the challenges. I'm hoping that's where I'm going to get my points. I don't know if they're going to make it till the end, but like if I can get the points along the way, that's what I'm aiming for.
I like that. I mean, the end is where the points really like accentuate, so it's not a bad strategy, honestly.
Yeah, so we got Danny and we got the rest of the season.
Yeah, exactly. All right, speaking of Danny's, Daniel, you did it. You've got your all-woman team. It's Charlie's Angels, or we could say Daniel's Angels even. You've got...
Let's not say either one of those.
Is that like not a good? Fine, I don't know. I don't know references. Okay, we've got Amanda Turner, we've got Alicia Ellens, we've got Savannah Miller, and Kalina Bliss. How are you feeling?
I can say this right now. One of these 4 women is the winner of Top Chef season 21.
Ooh. I can't wait to clip that when one of your contestants goes home week 1. I cannot wait. Oh boy. All right. My team, if we're going to call my team the Sausage Party, I didn't realize I have only men contesting. I've got Kevin D'Andrea. I've got David Murphy. I've got Dan Jacobs, and I've got Manny Barella. You know, reading that out, I don't feel so good. We'll see what happens. I think the one thing I have going for me is that I have one contestant more than Father Saul, so that's the only thing I have going for me right now. Well, Top Chef is back on March 20th, which is next Wednesday. You're listening to this on Friday, March 15th, of course, and which is also when we record it because we're recording it live.
Absolutely.
And yeah, so tune in for Top Chef. And we'll be checking in throughout the season. I don't know. I want to wish you guys all like a good season and to do well. And, you know, I'm just happy we're doing this. It makes the season so much more fun, you know?
You say fun. I will say, Jesse and Daniel, I don't know how emotionally invested you get in competition. It made watching extremely stressful last year. I wanted to beat Lucas so badly. It was tough. But hopefully instead it'll just add a little bit of spice to your watching experience.
Do we start a group chat?
Absolutely.
Yes.
I want to end on this note. Your prediction for winner, okay? It doesn't have to be someone on your team, just your prediction for winner, okay? Let's start with you, Saul.
I really do think Laura and Danny are going to make the finale or final 4. I think one of them will win. And it's just because I have, like, you get buyer's remorse, like, immediately as stuff goes on. But I feel like Danny could win. I feel like Danny might be the winner here.
Okay. Jesse?
I feel very good. I'm going strong with Danny. I wish I had Laura just for the extra points as far as my personal win. But as far as the whole top, I see Danny going all the way.
Daniel?
I'm not going to say Danny, even though I would have picked him just as easily. I'm going to say my first pick, Amanda Turner, is going to be winning Top Chef. We're going to hear her name for many, many years to come.
I'm going to go with this one just because I already know how this works for me. Charlie Pierre is going to win. It's Saul's last pick. And I know that that's the way that the universe works for people like me. So that is the winner of Top Chef Season 21. Daniel, Jessie, Saul, thank you so much for joining us today. We should, plan to do a check-in towards the end of the season. But in the meantime, pack your knives, folks. It's going to be a great season.
Can't wait.
Let's do it.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you. This will be fun.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the LA Food Podcast. Thanks to our guests, Jessie Evans, Daniel Wargo, and of course, Father Saul. I sincerely hope they have so much fun this season of Fantasy Top Chef, but I also sincerely hope that none of them win. Why? Well, because I want to win, dear listener. Anyways, thank you to you once again for listening to the podcast this week. If you like what you heard, please go to wherever you listen to podcasts, leave us a rating, review, subscribe. Seriously, all that stuff really helps us make our way up the charts on Spotify and Apple. We'll be back next week with another epic episode, but if you're looking for me in the meantime, you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, Threads, and YouTube at the LA Countdown. That's TheLaCountDown. You can also find us on Instagram at LA Food Pod. That's LAFOODPOD.